Hey, what's up, everybody? Chris here, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about VR and how that has been growing in recent years. I think there's been sort of a resurgence of that now, especially in the gaming world with the announcement of the PSVR 2 and sort of the costs associated with that, which is a whole nother discussion that we'll get into in this video. But specifically, I wanted to talk about Xbox and whether or not it would benefit Xbox and Microsoft to break into the VR gaming space a little more forcefully when it comes to Xbox consoles. Hey, as always, if you're enjoying this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and please be sure to subscribe. Now, with the PlayStation 4, I had the PSVR when that was originally launched. I thought it was a really cool thing. I would play for maybe 30 minutes, maybe an hour, but after that I needed a break because I would get a little bit of a headache from the effect that sort of went along with the resolution associated with that screen. I thought there were some really cool games for it, especially Moss. That was something that I really enjoyed and got a lot of sort of value out of. I played it for a long time. But ultimately, it was one of those peripherals that just kind of collected dust for me. There were some good titles for it, a lot of cool things that came about with it, but it kind of became more of a novelty than anything else. But now with PSVR 2 and with things like the Quest and the Quest 2 and some of the more expensive options that are out there like HTC Vive and all of that kind of stuff, people are really, I think getting more into VR as a thing, and it's become more widely accepted. For me personally, I like the idea of VR when it's sort of a wireless thing, a wire-free thing. But with PSVR 2, and I have a PlayStation 5, I sort of asked myself the question, do I really want to invest in that? Do I want to spend, I believe, $549, which is more than the cost of the console, which blows my mind. And I totally understand that the tech inside of it makes it a good value ultimately. But wrapping your brain around the idea of spending more for a peripheral accessory than for the console itself, even though I guess it is another gaming system, sort of, it's just a weird thing. But not to go off on too far of a tangent here, the real question is, does Xbox need to worry about this? My short answer to that is probably not. I think they're doing well enough with Game Pass and with the sales of the Series S, Series X, and again, Game Pass on PC to not be as concerned with that. I do sometimes wonder, if Phil Spencer and the other people who are leading up Xbox, ever sort of look into that. I'm sure they do and kind of talk through what the benefits would be associated with it. I think as it stands now is something that still ultimately for a lot of people is going to remain, to use that word again, a novelty, really. I think like any gaming system or gaming accessory, whatever you want to call it, it's going to ultimately depend on the games, right? And so I have not done a ton of digging into the PSVR 2 to see what the lineup looks like. I think just, scrolling through social media and seeing some of the reaction to it is that people seem to not be super overwhelmed with what's coming out or what is planned to come out with that when it eventually does release. And I think right now, Xbox really doesn't need to worry about that. They need to worry, like I said in a recent video, I think, about focusing on first-party titles and just getting those onto the Series X, getting those onto Game Pass, and just sort of showing support for the Xbox fans that have really invested in the system, that have wanted to see these games like Fable, whatever else it may be that they've got in the works actually come to fruition so that we can play these things. I do think, now with things like AR glasses becoming more prominent and sort of getting into the discussion. I just saw a video review not long ago for an AR glasses set called the Unreal Air, and it looked pretty cool. That's becoming kind of an interesting concept, and there's a lot of discussion right now about Meta Quest 2, right? And or Meta Quest Pro, not 2 as in the number 2, but TOO. But anyway, that's becoming a more sort of widely discussed thing as well, which it doesn't seem to be doing super great, but with AR becoming more prominent, VR still kind of hanging around. I wouldn't say it's really necessarily something that's broken into the mainstream gaming market with a whole lot of force. I mean, it has in the sense that you've got things like the Quest, right, which I talked about earlier, and PSVR did moderately well, I think, but a lot of people really just want to have good games, and for Xbox's success and for the sake of Xbox, I don't really see a whole lot of benefit for them in sinking a lot of money into VR. Personally, that's just my take on it. I think if they did decide to do it, they could partner with any number of tech giants to make that a reality, and I'm sure it would be great because Xbox is really high quality when it comes to hardware. All of that to say, I personally do not think that Xbox needs VR right now. However, this is just one person's opinion. I would love to hear what you think about this. So as always, let's get a conversation going. Jump into the comments below if you disagree with me and you think that they're totally missing the boat on that and really need to get on board with it. Let me know that. We can talk about it. Or if you agree with me, you can just say, yeah, Chris, you're totally right. Anyway, it makes for an interesting discussion. I'll be curious to see what Xbox does in the future. But as always, thanks so much for watching.